This is SportSpace.
Is live. Our sorry to interrupt. Our teacher, Mr. Harper, has won an award. Welcome back to Sports Space, and we're back with another interview, and this one's going to be a fun one. We have Sam Willoughby, former Alabama walk-on play wide receiver for the Crimson Tide, current offensive analyst at Samford, and our former student teacher.
Right, a personal friend of the show from back when the show originated. Yeah. We're very excited to have him on. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm good, boys. It's good to see y'all. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. All right, so we'll just start it off looking at where you're currently at. Your offensive assistant over at Samford University there in Homewood, Alabama. What does that look like for you right now? What's your role with that team?
I just started about less than a month ago. A guy I played with at Alabama, Paul Tyson, who's the quarterback's coach up here. I talked to him a little bit, and I'd wanted to be a part of what they were building up at Samford, so he helped me get on and got to meet Coach Gross, and it's been awesome. The guys up here are incredible. Coach Gross is one of a kind in the way he's a leader of men first and then of football players. And there's a lot of buy-in from the guys, the players, a lot of guys I played with when I was at Samford, still on the team, and we're just trying to build the thing the right way and get it going in the right direction and become just a national contender in FCS football. But my role specifically, so I'm working with the receivers and assistant coach Drew Sweeney. And right now my primary job is to first draw our plays, essentially, just so we can get those to the players. Say if we're putting in 10 new plays, for example, I'll draw those up. The pass plays mainly on the software, so we can give those to the players and say, hey, this is how we're going to be doing things. Also building cut-ups, getting film of how we want to do things, and assembling it in different cut-ups, as we call them, and just showing them to the players and what we call teach tape. Like, this is how we want it done. This is how you're going to do it. A bunch of those clips. And then really just anything else Coach Sweeney needs or any of the offensive position coaches need, just trying to assist them and help our receiver room, which can help our offense, which helps our team, which helps our program. So that's kind of what it's looking like now.
I've always been curious. Can I go maybe a little more in depth about the drawing plays as much as you can? Is that like you introduce concepts that still fit within the scheme, but you see like, oh, this would be super fun to draw up or call, or is it more so just drawing up basic plays?
So a little bit of both. Great question. And a lot of them are coming from Clemson, and we're doing a lot of stuff that they did up at Clemson with Coach Riley, their former offensive coordinator, and you're drawing your base plays, but you're also kind of figuring out, and this is what everybody in football is trying to do, like, how can we run these base plays and make it simple for ourselves, but make it look complex to the defense? So old offensive coordinator at Alabama, Tommy Reese, who's now with the Falcons, he used to talk about an illusion of complexity. So you're doing base stuff that you know how to do, that you can do very well, and that you can go out there and execute all the time, but you're dressing it up differently with formation adjustments, with motions, with different personnel, with all kinds of different ways to get to the same base things.
And then kind of just going back into your role as a walk-on at Alabama, I think a lot of people here walk-on and maybe don't really know what that entails. And so Can you kind of just give what the general experience is?
Yeah, I will. So sadly, it's in a way slowly kind of dying off because of the new NCAA rules with 105 guys on the roster and roster limits. Walk-ons, especially at bigger programs, are starting to go away because now you can bring in 105 guys, and those last 20 guys after your 85 scholarships can maybe be covered with NIL or rev share. But when I was there, and me and my friends that were walk-ons, it's just like how people understand it. Again, we would joke around about, about Rudy and stuff, but it's similar to the Rudy movie. Like, we had some guys that tried out, we had some guys that were preferred walk-ons, we had some guys that got there just because a coach wanted them to come, and essentially like, hey, you're on the team, but we'll see how it goes. Everybody got there in different ways, and I got there during COVID. They needed scout team receivers. I had played cornerback in high school, and they need scout team receivers. I said I can do it, and just got in touch with some guys up there. And once you're in the building, it's kind of, all right, you're on the team now. That's how it is for walk-ons. You're on the team until you're not, and it's kind of early on. It's kind of survival. Like, you have to try and create enough value for yourself, and this is a big Saban thing. Create value for yourself, which can help you, but ultimately you create value for the team. And if the team has value, then you yourself, high tides raise all boats. So if the team has value, each individual has value. What I contributed on the field on Saturdays was next to nothing, but the team winning elevates everyone. Just because you're a part of the team winning and you're a small piece of that, you can elevate the whole group. And what I loved about being a walk-on is you're in there with other guys. You're just part of the team like everybody else, but you don't get to do it on Saturday. But you get a game day 4 days of the week in the fall. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those were my game days. Those were all of our game days. Thursday, you want to have an awesome practice. So you can go into the weekend and say, man, I did everything I could to help this team. And, that role looks different for every player, but I loved it and loved helping the team try and do something special. But that was kind of my experience.
And now, after transitioning into coaching, how do you think that experience of being somebody who's lower on the depth chart, being a scout team player, how do you think that helps you relate to the guys now on your team who maybe aren't getting the field, those on-field reps on Saturdays?
Oh, that's a great question. And again, we got this just different guys at Sanford that aren't seeing the field as much, or in the past they haven't seen the field as much, and they might be now. You're able to know like what's going through their head and understand that they maybe feel a little bit undervalued. And my brother told me this right after I got to college. Like, most of the time, everyone in a building, whether it's an NFL team, a college team, a high school team, literally everyone feels undervalued probably in some way. They feel like they can bring a certain amount of value that maybe someone else is currently in the job to bring. They say, hey, well, I think I could do that. And with players, like you ask, they might think, hey, if they're a competitor, they think, hey, I can go out there and I can get the job done. And if I'm a receiver, I can go out there and catch passes. I can run good routes. I can block. But it's learning, just trust the process and buy into the team. Like, buy into the team. If we can all buy into this one big goal, I promise you, it's going to be better when we have success as a team for everyone. It's going to be better for our worst player, our lowest walk-on the team, and our freaking quarterback, our starting quarterback, and everywhere in between. It's going to be awesome for the head coach and the athletic director, and it's going to be awesome for every student assistant. Because if we can do something special and no one cares, and Coach Gross, we had a team meeting yesterday, was talking about no one cares who gets the credit, it's really special what you can do.
And then being a part of a just championship culture at Alabama, and being surrounded by those level of coaches and those level of resources and even fans, like how has that influenced and maybe I guess taught you how to bring that approach to Sanford?
That's another great question. Well, for me, I was able to see, and again, I've talked about this with a lot of people before. There was nothing like, I like to think I bring things to the table, but it was the environment that I got thrown into in college. And I was blessed to be a part of that winning culture that Coach Saban created and that a lot of other guys helped create. And so you do kind of become a product of your environment. And now here at Sanford, the awesome thing is Coach Gross has been a national contender with an FCS school in the state of Alabama. Jacksonville State, before they moved up to FBS football, he had them as a national contender year in, year out at Jacksonville State, and he's done it before. And then he went to Clemson, and he was and he coached up there and got to be with Coach Sweeney up at Clemson and what they've built, and everybody knows about the success they've had. And he brings the approach of like, we're not going to focus on the things we don't have, or we're not going to focus on boundaries that are in our way at a place like Sanford. Let's focus on the things that we do have that are awesome. Let's focus on what we can do well. Let's focus on what we can create here again. And he's a servant leader. He's trying to get people to come out to the spring game, and he's up in the cafeteria on campus handing out flyers, the head coach. And so it's that approach of like, we're not going to be stifled and say, well, the students don't care. They only care about Alabama and Auburn. He's like, no, we're gonna make them care. We're gonna give them something to care about. And it's just been awesome to watch and awesome to be a part of.
And then, I'll take a little step back here from maybe the on the field stuff. How do you try and impact these players as people? How are you helping them grow as individuals, not just on the field, but off the field as well?
100%. And like, this is a big thing that Coach Saban would talk about, was how you do anything is how you do everything, and just kind of trying to apply the things we can take from this awesome game that we all love of football and apply it to our lives. And then here at Sanford, and this is able to happen because we're a Christian university, and there's a carved out time every I don't know if it's once a week. So when I was here for grad school, I wasn't a part of this, but it's carved out every week, I think so, and we do it every other week or every week. It's talking about authentic manhood, and studying like what biblical manhood was, and talking about like, in today's world, what does it look like to be an authentic man, and like stand for what is right, and stand for what is good, and stand for the truth, and do all those kind of things. And we have our special teams coordinator, Will Gilchrist, who is also at Clemson. He leads that. And it's been awesome to watch a bunch of these young guys who a bunch I played with grow, and myself grow, and just say, okay, well, what does it look like in this crazy world that we're living in, to grow as a young man and a young adult and a young person entering the world? It's just been really cool to watch.
And then kind of going back to talking about how, a lot of students at Sanford may be rooting for Alabama or Auburn over Sanford itself. The student population of Sanford is about just over an eighth of what Alabama's is. But, at Sanford hosted Alabama in baseball a couple weeks ago, and that place was packed out.
Yeah.
Rooting for Sanford mostly. And so kind of how do you just kind of go a little bit more in depth with how you try to bring that over to football when, Sanford might not be playing in Alabama baseball and Auburn baseball, or, one of these big SEC opponents every week?
Yeah. Well, it's multiple things. And Bucky McMillan had, y'all know about Sanford basketball. You see pictures. It was packed out. The Red Sea. I remember I used to go to games when I was a kid. I watched Steph Curry at Davidson play at Sanford, probably when y'all were like, I don't even know, maybe right around when y'all were born, but watch Steph Curry up the hill at the Pete Anna Center play when he was at Davidson, play Sanford. The place was packed. And now they'll pack it out. They got the Red Sea, and, you got somebody dress up like Moses, throw the staff down, everybody falls down, all those cool things. But he created energy because, first off, they won. They were winners. But they have an exciting product to watch. Again, they play an aggressive style press. They're able to shoot the basketball. And just with us, and again, Coach Gross has talked about this, like, we're going to create a team that is a national contender. We're not going to – nobody wants to root for a team that isn't winning football games. And especially in a place like this, if we can be a competitive national contender that is consistently winning big games, people want to be a part of that. People have a desire to be a part of stuff, and everything. And when you're in school with a friend group or with a team or a business, your family, like, people want to be a part of something. So if we can give them something to root for, and they can support our philosophy, our beliefs, the way we want to run the program, then they'll want to jump on board. And before you know it, the thing's snowballing and you got something special.
So lastly, just to wrap it up, when people hear your journey, starting as a walk-on, starting as someone who wasn't playing in college, now to a college coach, what do you hope that people take away from hearing your story?
Well, first, like, the Lord really has blessed me with great opportunities. Again, like, I learned a ton sitting in y'all's 8th grade history class. All right. And like, just learning from y'all, learning from Mr. Wilson, like, as a teacher, learning things, and then as a player, like I said, the Lord blessed me with great opportunities. Just like that, I'm using that as an example because y'all are right here. But like my high school coach, Coach Buddy Anderson, was the head coach of Vestavia for 46 years. I got to learn from him. I got to learn from Coach Saban. I played here for Coach Hatcher, just coached under Coach Chip English at Hoover. Now with Coach Gross and a bunch of awesome guys on staff. I think that what I would want people to hear from my story is trust the process. Like, and I know it's cliche, everybody talks about it, but focus on what can I do each day to grow towards where I want to go or who I want to be. What can I focus on today? What can I do right now? I'm not going to worry about what's going on outside of my control. I'm not going to worry about how other people might have it better than me, or have a better opportunity, or why didn't I get that? I'm just going to be where my feet are. And I'm going to dig my feet in, and I'm going to grow where I'm planted. All right. And if I can grow where I'm planted, and I think if people take that approach, they'll see that usually their situation, they're letting their circumstances really dictate their attitude, when their situation is probably one that they can truly flourish in. So grow where you're planted, trust the process, and essentially just move through life in that way. And most of the time you're going to find something special when you look back.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam. That's about all the time we have. But thank Sam. That was a great interview. Thank you so much for joining us. And in our 8th grade history class, he was our student intern. And when they were like, "Oh, he's a walk-on," the whole class was kind of was super excited. But Sam is a great guy. He's gonna be a great coach. He's a great teacher. And thank you so much for joining.
Really
us.
Appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. And we'll be back with one more interview next week, and then that'll be the end of our prep for Skills USA competition in Birmingham. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great afternoon.